Good morning, folks. Welcome to another episode of Spilling Tea. I'm your host, Tiffany Daniels. We're going to that horrible world known as the JRC, but as usual, rant and a drink out of my, allergy medicine tea. Yogi tea, breathe easy. You'll thank me later during allergy season. Made the mistake of checking my Twitter TL to see World War III trending again. And as per usual, the fucking Republicans are blaming Biden. Let's do a little reality check, shall we? These are the same people who get off reciting all the deeds of World War II, right? Basically hero worship Churchill, right? Because he was warning everyone about the Nazis. Now these same bastards are criticizing other leaders for doing the same, for warning about Russia and China. Do y'all not see the hypocrisy here? Do you not even see the hypocrisy? You have an individual trying to do what Churchill did, right? One dude whose country's been attacked, who's had war crimes committed against his people. People bitch because he's going around the world doing what any president of their country who is in the middle of a war would do, and trying to garner support and aid, any kind that they can get. Oh, but he's the bad guy. This guy defending his country, doing visits around the world, meeting with all these people to try to garner support because he's basically fighting against a fucking juggernaut, and he's doing so alone. He's the bad guy. Biden's the bad guy, apparently, for assisting them and making sure that they could get the weapons that they need, food, medical supplies, whatever they need to help them to fight this war on their own. He's the bad guy. He's apparently starting World War III. All right, dipshits, tell me something. Republicans. Do you not see the hypocrisy here? Do you not see it? This is not a time to go around scoring political fucking points. You don't actually care about World War III. Republicans are fucking known to be warmongering bastards. If you don't believe me, take a little dig into history sometime. Because that's where they make their money. They make it in conflicts. You have individuals now attacking Biden for starting World War III who made millions of fucking dollars during the Iraq and Afghanistan wars, who lined their bank accounts with the blood of a completely different populace and country. Now you want to act like scared little rats? And for all those who sit there and pound their chest and say, I love America and I love freedom, yet you're going to go around and criticize and take apart an individual who's willing to put his life on the line and a people who's willing to put their lives on the line to fight for theirs? Well, they should just give up. Do you hear yourselves? These are coming from the same individuals who were all so anti-Russia back in the fucking 80s. So which is it? Which is it? Because I'm a student of history, and I hate to tell you fuckers this, but whether you like it or not, eventually, World War III is going to happen. And the reason why it's going to happen, folks, is the human race has always been, and will likely always will be, a violent, self-destructive race. Okay? It's our MO. Okay? Remember when World War I was supposed to be the war that ended all wars? How did that work out? Yeah, it didn't. There's no use of sitting there belly aching and pointing fingers and blaming others. Do I want it to happen? Am I a warmonger? No. Are you kidding me? You think this generation is ready for the draft? Have you seen these people? You think they're ready for the draft? No. Not even close. Not even remotely fucking close. But as I always say on this channel, I deal in realities. As someone who has people watched and studied history since I was literally 10 years old. It will happen eventually. Pointing fingers and blaming each other is really not going to do anything. It'll help our enemies, but it's not going to do anything to help us. So the question becomes this. How can you pound your chest and call yourself a proud American while spitting in the face of others who are willing to put their lives on the line to defend theirs? How can you call yourself a proud American when you are more willing to take political points, more willing to shoot fucking, basically try to do whatever you can to take the piss out of Biden, right? Because I'm sorry, that's not patriotic. When you essentially just lick Putin's fucking boots and praise him for whatever he does with no fucking evidence to back it up. Again, I know that word, evidence. I know some of you all are allergic, but please take your pills and listen up here. It's not helping anything. Start dealing in reality. This isn't a time to try and earn political points. This is war. It's not an election. People's lives are on the line. War crimes are being committed, but you all would rather have us kiss Putin's fucking ass and ignore whatever he does. How did that work for Britain back in World War II? You know, before Churchill took over. How'd that work for them again? When all they did was kept appeasing and kept appeasing and kept appeasing? How'd that work? Oh, that's right, it didn't. They still got bombed halfway to hell, didn't they? There's no amount of appeasing. There is no amount of cool down. Every once in a while in world history, there is no such thing as cooler heads prevailing. Sometimes things go too far. And the only thing you can actually do is try to minimize the damage and loss of human life. Why am I going on this rant this morning? Because I'm tired of the hypocrisy. Okay? Anyone who's been alive during fucking recent history and lived through the entirety of the fucking Bush administration can tell you that these Republicans who are now blaming Biden for starting World War III were the same fucking bastards who were doing everything to make it that they could to make it happen back in the early 2000s. Invading these places. Inserting themselves in places that we didn't fucking belong in. Sending their self-funded mercs into these areas and lining their fucking pockets by doing it. Oh, but now war is bad. It's not the time for politics, folks. This would be what my dad used to say. We haven't got there yet, but if things keep going the way they're going, bend over and kiss your ass goodbye. This is not a joke. This isn't politics. This isn't a way to attack Biden. You're doing everything opposite than an actual patriot would actually do. I can say this as a card-carrying daughter of the revolution. Okay? Let's get to the point, shall we? Is World War III going to happen tomorrow? Probably not. Maybe even not several decades from now. But it will eventually. It's just human nature. The question is, if it's tomorrow, 3 decades or even 300 years from now, how are we going to respond? Are we going to act like a nation divided, easily torn apart before ever a shot finds its way onto U.S. soil? Because as of right now, these leaders who are staring down the U.S., they don't have much of a fight on their hands, do they? This place is so divided with our politics and our bullshit that the whole major as one unification that happened back in 2001 after September 11th seems a pipe dream. Something that happened back in ancient antiquity, and one would almost call it mythology, even though I saw it with my own eyes. This is not the time to take pot shots. This is not time to climb the ladder of power. This is not a time to say, it's all the Democrats' fault, when basically Republicans have been setting things up all along the way and have gotten millions of dollars from their independent defense contracts, sending the Merc companies out into the Middle East. Okay? Republicans, you are the last fucking people on this goddamn earth that should be saying anything in regards to this shit. Sit down. Sit the fuck down. The Republicans, the only reason why they are fucking panicking, folks, right, they want to lick Putin's boots, is because unlike the Middle East and those countries who really didn't have the forces, the technology, or the gear to be able to fight us, Russia does. China does. We're all big bark, big bark, big bark until an equally big dog enters the room. Then all of a sudden the Republicans want to talk about peace. It's a joke. It's a joke on every single last one of us. I'm sorry to rant about this, but I'm just... You see the hypocrisy, right? These millions and billionaires who are now playing politics and saying the Democrats are trying to cause World War III are the same bastards who pocketed millions of dollars sending their Merc companies out into the Middle East. They literally have no fucking leg, none whatsoever, to stand on. These same Republicans crying foul about World War III are the same bastards that screamed at Biden for taking our troops out of Afghanistan. Make it make sense. All right, I've ranted enough about this, but I'm just so tired. Want to know what team I'm on? I'm on Team fucking Comet. Just fucking end this shit now, because I am done with the political maneuvering. I'm tired of everybody's fucking agenda. I am Team Comet. I'm also Team people who just want to fucking live in peace. We're not pushing this agenda or that agenda. We're just trying to fucking live. Most of us disabled people would like the ability to be able to just fucking live without catering to every single neurotypical whim out there. That would be nice too. I'm not a fearmonger. I'm the perennial student. Humanity is self-destructive. World War III, whether you like it or not, will inevitably someday happen. It is not the sort of event that should be used to score political points. And it should not be an event where the Republicans try to reinvent themselves. And these older fucking people, even some of my generation, all of a sudden feel like that they are the party of peace. As though you can just wipe away your memories of the entirety of the fucking Bush years. I'm sorry, but nah. Seems to me the Republicans only like a war when they can profit off of it. When they can potentially lose, then they tuck tail and run. Alright, now let's move on. Fuck me. Grow the fuck up, America. There are important things going on out there in the world, and they're a hell of a lot more important than your just trust me bruh mentality. Alright? In the description box, you're going to find a link to the article that the Judge Rotenberg Educational Center doesn't want you to read. It's written by NeuroClastic, a small non-for-profit started by autistics for autistics, wherein they interviewed and surveyed over 900 ABA professionals in regards to the JRC's quote-unquote behavior modification program. Matter of fact, the JRC doesn't want you to read this article so much they have threatened NeuroClastic with a defamation lawsuit if they did not move it from the website. NeuroClastic has refused, so you know the drill. Please read that article and share it on all your social media. We also have linked in their NeuroClastic's public statement regards to the defamation lawsuit threat, as well as a link to their GoFundMe. We are crowdfunding, folks, in case the JRC actually has the balls to see through with their threat. We also have linked in there the Ozarks First article in regards to the Agape boarding school / now known as Stone for Help boarding school. Excuse me. This is a so-called Christian-themed boarding school based out of Stockton, Missouri, that takes in so-called troubled male teens, that has and pending over 21 civil lawsuits, claims, and allegations leveled against it, all which have been substantiated by the hard evidence gathered by the Missouri Department of Social Services, and they include the following: sodomy, rape, sexual assault, child abuse, psychological and emotional abuse, child trafficking, starvation, and that's just for starters. You have one former staff member arrested by the FBI. You have another, a doctor who still lives on the premises with full access to the boys, up on multiple, again, substantiated claims of sodomy, rape, and sexual assault. The boys there. We have an attorney general obsessed with drag queens, so much so that he can't do his job and protect kids from actual pedophiles. You got a governor who's so ate up on Republican stupid, and as you can tell from my previous rant, they've really hit fucking stupid. They have fit this weird-ass circular dichotomy where they are patriots, but they're not really patriots. It's a mind fuck, folks, so please send help. Send help. So please read that article, share it on all your social media. We also have in there all the pertinent links to the Stop the Shocks campaign, including Autistic Hoya's massive archive on the subject, Jennifer Masemba's behavioral sheet of shockable offenses, a clip out of the 7-hour ordeal undergone by Andre McCollins back in 2002, and the ever-present self-explanatory Change.org Shut the Judge Rotenberg Center Down petition. When we discuss the JRC, you're going to hear vivid descriptions of and catch clips of surveillance footage of people with disabilities being tortured and abused. If you got young children present, please use your headphones, alright? This channel is marked not for children for a reason. We use profanity and we speak on dark subjects. If your child is 16 and younger and they are watching this, very obviously, parental supervision is advised, alright? Alright. Trigger warning, we are about to again descend into the mad ravings of the lunatic mind known as Dr. Matthew Israel. You're going to hear lies, victim blaming, gaslighting, pseudoscience, ableism and bigotry over and over and over and over again, all coming from a man with a massive ego and a complete and utter God complex. So just be prepared for that, all right? Okay, so where we left off yesterday. The authors never took a single step to research any of the evidence supporting the use of aversives and made no attempt to interview anyone that might speak in support of the aversives or JRC. Lie. That's a lie, doctor. Allow me. Just because he likes to say this shit doesn't make it true. You want to know how I know it's a lie, doctor? Because this little website here has been around since the early 2000s. Pretty much categorizes everything. This here, in particular. The Living Archive. And let's go here, shall we? Doctor, what does this say here? What is this saying here? Do you see this, doctor? You see what it says? It says from the JRC, BRI, and supporters directly. But I'm seeing 2021, 2014. But remember, this has been around for many years. So let's go down, shall we? So what would MDRI would have had access to? Your own doctor, your own behavior disorders from a life of seclusion, restraint, and or warehousing, as well as ravages of psychotropic medication. I believe that's your paper, isn't it, doctor? What else did they have access to? The JRC application for eligibility for funding replacement with Illinois State Board of Education, 2008. Letter to the editor, shock treatment saved our son's life when all hope seemed lost. November 6, 2007. Op-ed, extreme rhetoric clouds shock debate. Again, October 23rd, 2007. Op-ed, Sitter treatment saves lives of youth by Matthew Israel in the Justice. October 9th, 2007. JRC response to the New York Education Department investigation report, 2006. Op-ed, television view, a few scary pictures can go a long way. March 20th, 1994. You know what that is, folks? Those are all the documents the MDRI had reference to, read, made notes on even, in regards to the JRC. He's trying to claim that we have never read anything in regards to the data or anything that supports his insanity. Fact is, we have. We've read it all. And what is remarkable is when you compare this treatment program to the dozens upon dozens of other programs out there, you'll notice something very interesting. It's only the Kool-Aid drinkers and the JRC's doctors who are writing these pieces. Even if you want to compare contrast, let's look at wider ABA, for example. Not that I support ABA, but you get my point, right? We did indeed read your shit, doctor. Want to know what we noted? There was no outside organization or institution or even study group that corroborates what you have out there. Okay? Means the only people who are supporting your insanity is you. Speaks very loudly, doesn't it? Ever hear the concept that the silence is deafening? It applies here. It applies here big time. So the reason why I pulled that up again is because the doctor likes to sit there and say, but we never considered the other side. We just want what we want and we just don't care about what's actually helping the kids here. And you would rather them die, wouldn't you? No, doctor, you would rather them die. And in fact, in your care, 6 kids have died. Yeah, that. Right? Once again, doctor, you want to point the fingers at us without acknowledging the role that you played. I know another person who did that kind of thing. Name's AH. 2 peeps in a pod. Maybe we should lock those 2 in a cell together and see who can out-narc the other one. My money's on Dr. Israel. Mainly because he has an experience in being a self-centered, egotistical son of a bitch. They never visited JRC, never interviewed JRC's clinicians or staff, never spoke to the hundreds of parents who are pleased what JRC has been able to accomplish for their children, never advised JRC of their investigation, never invited JRC to respond with their concerns, never interviewed current or former students who have been pleased with the results of their treatment at the JRC, including use of it versus. Here the fuck we go again. Doctor, we're not interested in your opinions. We're not interested in your propaganda. We're not interested in your guided tours. We're not interested in your fake bullshit that you like to throw at the media, okay? We are not interested. But why? Why won't you just let us explain it to you, you high-handed, condescending fucking prick? I don't let family members condescend down to me. I'm sure as hell not going to let a disgraced, unlicensed psychiatrist condescend down to me. Sit down. Okay? You want to know why we don't interview them? Want to know why we don't ask them? How is it going to benefit an investigation to only speak with your side, doctor? It's not how any of this works. Fact of the matter is, doctor, if we wanted to know these things, you all have been doing interviews and tours and put your propaganda all over fucking social media ever since the early 2000s. We have access to it. We can go and look at when you started your YouTube channel in the early 2000s. We've watched them. I've watched them. I've read your papers, like I'm doing right now. And it was so easy to tear them apart, doctor. I didn't even waste any kind of brain energy on it. Your concepts are laughable if they weren't so psychotic. Okay? We're tired of propaganda, doctor. No amount of propaganda or big fluffy meaningless words or even the big words that you just simply fucking make up or your lies about programs that you have no experience in is ever going to outshout the screams of Andre McCollins and the rest of your victims. Sorry. You have gotten away with the death of 6 kids, those whose blood is very much on your hands. I think that's more than enough to throw out whatever you want to tell us is the real truth. The real truth is they're dead. And who's to blame for that? Is it the people who are fighting to free them? Or is it the fault of the staff and the doctor who, to quote a Metallica song, keep him tied, it makes him well? Yeah. Because I'm going to blame you and the staff, doctor. You had control. We do not have control. All we have is our voices. We don't have limitless funds to throw at you. We have our voices, we have our will. Okay? And our wits. And many of us have our expertise. The reason, folks, why MDRI didn't go to the JRC and just let us explain is because the JRC has had over 3 fucking decades to explain. They haven't explained anything. We are now on page 53 of this document. We've gone over hundreds of documents, and to this day, yet have they ever put out anything to explain their fucking psycho plan. Okay? None of it makes any coherent, logical sense. MDRI was aware of all the videos you put out, Doctor. They watched the interviews. They read the things you have put out into the media, into medical journals, psychology. We've read the materials that you've made readily available on your website. And guess what, Doctor? It's not good enough. It's not anywhere near good enough. Okay? The MDRI does not have time to hear more of this same tired, completely irrelevant, as well as long ago discounted bullshit. Okay? But what about the kids who were pleased with the adversives? Were they? Were they? Speaking of someone who comes from abuse, as long as you have a close relationship with their parents, those kids are under threat. As long as they live under their parents' roof after the abuse and their parents are the ones who sent them to your hellhole, they're under threat. Some of the individuals who made those testimonials, like Jennifer Masumba, since they came out of your circle of influence, they've been talking, Doctor. And everything they have said, because remember, folks, I don't just take people at their word. There's this idea that Dr. Israel wants you to believe that we are just all blind followers. Right? We don't look any evidence. Why don't you just call me a turd stain and call it good, Doctor? Because that's pretty much what you're equivalating me with. I'm not that girl. I like my evidence. I like facts. I like receipts. And the Shot campaign has more than just receipts. We have surveillance video footage. It's self-explanatory. These kids who have managed to come out and talk about it, some of them have done those testimonials under duress. You know what they say in a court of law, Doctor, when someone appears to be doing a testimony under duress, don't you? You throw out the testimony. So what are we seeing here in this paragraph? The same shit that he always does. We don't know what we're talking about. We're just against adversives no matter what. And we just don't even want to study anything that tells us that adversives are good and have benefits. But see, they've stopped their self-destructive behavior and they're acting normal. I hate to bust your bubble, planet Earth, but ain't none of us right. Put it in the way some old timers talk around here. Not a single fucking one of us is right in the head. There is no normal. All we're doing is masking. Tell me, would you want to be forced to pretend to be someone else every second of every day of the rest of your life simply to appease what other people think you should be? No. You wouldn't. You'd fight against that, and rightfully so. So the question becomes, why are we demonized when we do that? Think on it. You don't get to torture us and then slap a label and call it medicine and go unchallenged, doctor. Okay? This is just more garbage you're slewing on us. It's you playing victim while simultaneously trying to be a high-handed, condescending son of a bitch. You're not the victim, doctor. The 6 dead kids are. Every student you've put on your fucking torture devices, all the students you tortured before that device was made, are. You're not the victim, you're the monster. I'm going to go ahead and close on that. We don't get very many views on this channel. The few that we do get do tend to get removed from time to time. So please don't forget to hit the like button, hit subscribe, and don't forget to hit the comments. I do appreciate your time, and as always, we here at Smoothing Tea hope you have a good one. Bye-bye, everyone.